The world is not ruled by truth. It is ruled by illusions that are dressed well, spoken confidently, and worn without hesitation. In the eyes of the masses, reality is not what is. It is what seems to be. You may have talent, skill, or genius hidden in your bones, but if you wear the face of doubt, you will be treated as lesser. Meanwhile, the fool who wraps himself in confidence, who walks like a conqueror and speaks like a ruler, will be feared, followed, and rewarded. This is the great deception of power. It is not earned. It is performed. You were taught to be humble, to let your work speak for you. But power does not listen to whispers. It obeys the voice that roars. When you act like the best, when you carry yourself as if no one could possibly outrank you, the world adjusts itself around your illusion. They begin to question their own worth, not yours. They begin to defer, to hesitate, to soften themselves in your presence. And all because you appeared more powerful. This is not arrogance. This is strategy. People crave certainty more than truth. When they see someone who believes in themselves so fiercely that doubt seems impossible, they instinctively surrender their judgment. They assume you know something they don't, that your confidence must come from evidence, even if there is none. This is the weapon of appearance. You do not need to be the best. You only need to seem like it long enough to seize control. In courts of power, in rooms of influence, in battles of reputation, it is not the honest man who prevails. It is the man who crafts his image with precision. You must understand that people are not looking for what's real. They are looking for what's convincing. Power is not given to the deserving. It is given to the one who acts like he already owns it. Confidence, when displayed correctly, creates an aura of inevitability. You walk in and people feel your presence before you speak. They alter their tone. They choose their words carefully, not because they know your worth, but because you convince them you possess it. The mind, when faced with certainty, begins to doubt its own conclusions, and that doubt becomes your throne. Perception must be curated like a weapon. Your clothes, your posture, your tone, your silence, all must serve one message. You are the superior one, not just in skill, but in mindset, in vision, in destiny. Even when you are wrong, act as if you are above being corrected. Even when you are unsure, act as if you know exactly what comes next. The world will follow the man who follows himself without hesitation. Those who wait to be acknowledged rot in the shadows. Those who act acknowledged before they are noticed become the center of gravity. The myth of meritocracy is just that, a myth. The world does not reward those who wait to be seen. It rewards those who make themselves impossible to ignore. That is the art of domination through image, and beware, people will hate your confidence. They will call it arrogance. They will try to humble you, not because you are wrong, but because your certainty exposes their weakness. Your act of supremacy reminds them of their quiet submission. And the average man despises nothing more than the reminder of his own mediocrity. But that hatred is useful. It means they have accepted your position as higher. They are reacting to the hierarchy you created simply by walking like you belong above them. Do not flinch. Do not explain. Do not shrink. The moment you begin to justify your dominance, it dissolves. The moment you show them it is an act, the illusion collapses. Your mask must become your identity. Your performance must become your truth. Walk like the best. Speak like the best. Look at others like they are less. And in time, they will believe it too. Because perception is power, the world is not ruled by those who are the most skilled, but by those who are the most convincing. Power does not wait for proof. It bends to the one who performs strength with absolute conviction. Superiority, in its purest form, is a role played so ruthlessly, so consistently, that even the performer forgets it's an act. You were never asked to be perfect. You were asked to be convincing. And the man who performs greatness better than others becomes indistinguishable from the real thing. In this world, most people are actors trapped in their own weakness, waiting for applause before they begin their act. But those who truly dominate the stage do so by never waiting for permission. They walk into the scene already wearing the crown, already carrying the script of a ruler, already radiating the certainty of the chosen. It doesn't matter what lies beneath. The audience never sees behind the curtain. They see the performance. And the one who performs superiority becomes the superior one, regardless of whether he earned it or not. There is no morality in performance. There is only effect. When you speak, speak like your words weigh more than gold. When you move, move like the world adjusts itself to accommodate you. And when others question your worth, look at them not with anger, but with amused contempt, as if their doubt is irrelevant because it is. Doubt is not your concern. Doubt is the problem of those beneath you, not the burden of one who plays God. A man who waits to be respected will die invisible, but a man who acts like he is to be feared, followed, and admired without question forces the room to either believe or break. Most will believe. The few who try to test you will learn that dominance, when performed with discipline, creates momentum. And momentum is more powerful than truth. People follow momentum. They cling to it. They do not care if you are truly the best. They care if everyone else believes you are. That is the power of a flawless act. Look around you. Do you really think the people in charge got there because they were the most deserving? No, they got there because they played the part. They sold the image. They moved with conviction while others hesitated. They spoke with finality while others searched for the right words. They understood that power is not about having more. It is about appearing to need nothing from anyone. Independence, when performed with icy precision, becomes worshipped. Even your silence becomes loud. Your stillness becomes threat. Your gaze becomes command. To perform superiority, you must erase doubt from your face, your tone, your presence. Doubt can exist inside you, but it must never leak out. If you question yourself in public, you give permission to the world to question you too. If you hesitate, others pounce. But if you act with full control, even if that control is a lie, you hijack the minds of those around you. They begin to follow your certainty like lost dogs follow a torch through the dark. Every gesture must be deliberate. Every word must carry the weight of someone who expects to be obeyed. You are not just speaking, you are broadcasting authority. And if you do this long enough, loud enough, and without apology, people begin to reshape their reality around you. They forget you were once beneath them. They forget you once begged for space. All they see is the figure before them, commanding without effort, leading without question. They do not ask whether you are the best. They simply accept that no one else dared to act like it. The performance must be relentless. The mask must become skin. You must smile when they doubt you, because their confusion means your performance is working. You must remain unmoved when they praise you, because praise is a trap. It softens the act. Superiority is not maintained by gratitude. It is maintained by distance, mystery, and control. You must remain above always. Never descend to explain, to plead, to equalize. You are the storm they cannot predict, the force they cannot tame, the image they cannot forget. Superiority, when performed without flaw, does not invite comparison. It destroys it. The world is not fair. It is theatrical. Every room you enter is a stage, and every individual in it is performing whether they know it or not. Most perform weakness, insecurity, politeness, because they were taught to play a role that keeps them agreeable and safe. But those who understand the deeper mechanics of power walk into that same room playing the role of the ruler. They do not blend in, they consume space, they rearrange the dynamic without needing to speak, because domination begins long before words. It begins with the entrance. When you enter a room, you are either the force that bends the atmosphere, or the one bent by it. Every second you hesitate, every moment you shrink. You are announcing to others that you are willing to submit. But when you walk in with posture like iron, eyes that survey without begging for connection, and silence that demands attention, you become the central figure of gravity. People feel you before they see you, their bodies react, their voices shift, because you are no longer just another presence. You are the presence that forces everything else into its place. Domination is not noise. It is not arrogance. It is control. The one who dominates the stage does not need to prove anything. He simply positions himself as the apex. The subtle tilt of his head, the pace of his steps, the intensity of his stillness, all of it signals, I am not here to be welcomed. I am here to be respected. This is not narcissism. This is tactical presence. A man who knows that attention is not requested. It is seized. The mistake weak men make is thinking that leadership is earned through kindness, through appeasement, through shared vulnerability. It is not. Leadership is seized by the one who stands above without explanation, the one who speaks last because everyone is waiting, the one whose gaze makes people feel as though they are being judged from a higher plane. He does not chase the spotlight. He becomes the reason it exists. To dominate the stage, you must treat every room like it is your court, not because you are entitled to it, but because you command it through energy, timing, and silence. Silence is not weakness in the hands of the powerful. It is a weapon. A pause held a second too long can make a room sweat. A glance with no smile can rearrange loyalties. The man who controls silence controls fear, and fear is the root of influence. Every movement must be intentional. Leaning in too quickly, weakness; laughing too easily, submission; filling space with unnecessary chatter. Desperation, but calculated stillness. It forces others to fill the void you create, and in doing so, they expose themselves while you remain unshaken. This is how power is negotiated without words, without battles, simply by reshaping the tension in the air. You must remember, people are constantly watching, not consciously, but biologically. Their instincts scan for hierarchy. Their nervous systems are wired to detect who leads and who follows. So you must feed their instinct exactly what it craves, dominance that feels inevitable. They do not need proof, they need presence. They need to feel that if they cross you, they will regret it. Not because you say so, but because everything about you communicates it without effort. The man who dominates the stage is not louder. He is greater, and that greatness comes from his refusal to compete. He does not argue for his worth. He assumes it. He does not react to challenges. He renders them irrelevant by never lowering himself to their level. He does not chase the crowd. The crowd shifts itself toward him like prey sensing the arrival of a predator. This is the secret that most never grasp. People are not loyal to the best. They are loyal to the one who makes them feel lesser in his presence. They follow the one who seems untouchable, who remains calm in chaos, who does not flinch, who does not need. And that kind of energy is not natural, it is built. It is rehearsed until it becomes instinct, until you no longer enter rooms as a guest, but as the axis around which everything else turns. That is how you dominate. The stage power cannot coexist with equality. To rule, you must rise, and to rise, others must fall. This is the simple, brutal truth the weak refuse to accept. They speak of fairness, of harmony, of mutual respect, But such ideals are luxuries for the powerless. The man who seeks to dominate must see every equal as a potential threat and every peer as a future rival. There is no such thing as peaceful equality among the ambitious. There is only the illusion of balance, and beneath it, the quiet war for supremacy. In every room, every group, every alliance, there is an unspoken hierarchy forming. It is not based on morality, talent, or merit. It is based on presence, boldness, control, and the one who allows others to sit beside him as equals is planting the seeds of his own downfall. Equality invites comparison. Comparison breeds resentment, and resentment becomes betrayal when it has room to grow. If you wish to rule, you must make comparison impossible. You must separate yourself from the rest, not with words, but with stature, strategy, and silence. You do not have to destroy your rivals with open conflict. That is the tool of the clumsy. The intelligent man eliminates his equals by making them irrelevant. He moves faster, he speaks less. He wins battles before others realize there was a war. He plants doubt in the minds of those who would challenge him. A comment here, a silence there. He sows questions about their competence, their loyalty, their strength, until those who once stood tall begin to shrink on their own. This is the art of psychological conquest. Inferiors do not rebel, they depend, they fear, they obey. To maintain power, you must constantly create an environment where those around you feel the gap between you and them widening. Confidence but never undamundum, while there's problems that else. Let them chase your approval, never fully receiving it. The illusion of closeness is useful, but the reality must always remain. You are above them. If you allow others to feel equal for too long, they will start to believe they are. And once they believe, they will act. And once they act, they must be crushed. Keep your circle close, but not level. Give them roles, responsibilities, rewards, but never full recognition. Keep the final decision, the final insight, the final victory for yourself. The throne does not have room for multiple occupants. Power diluted is power lost. The lion does not share his kill with other predators. He devours it in full view of the pack. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. Even among friends, be the one who moves first, speaks last, and receives most. Friendship is not protection. It is a mirror that eventually reveals ambition. And ambition in someone you consider equal becomes a dagger hidden behind a smile. You can forgive an inferior for dreaming, but an equal dreaming of rising becomes a direct threat to your crown. The most dangerous enemy is not the one who hates you. It is the one who once admired you, then decided he could match you. That transition from follower to competitor happens quietly, and by the time you see it, it's already infected your foundations. This is why the wise ruler always creates distance, even among his most trusted. He allows familiarity, but never comfort. He allows loyalty, but never leverage. And when someone grows too confident, too comfortable, too visible, he reminds them that the throne was not built for sharing. Fear is not a weakness when used correctly. It is a leash, it is a boundary. It tells the inferiors, rise only so far. And when someone refuses that boundary, they must be exiled, humiliated, or erased. Not because they pose an immediate threat, but because they represent the idea of equality, and that idea is poison. When one man believes he can be your equal, others begin to believe it too, and belief, once multiplied, becomes rebellion. Kill the idea before it finds its voice. Destroy the rival before he gathers a crowd. Let no man stand beside you, not in thought, not in posture, not in ambition. There is no room for equals in the kingdom of one you are not born with power. You become it, not through birthright, not through blessings, but through construction brick by brick, layer by layer, lie by lie if necessary. The man who waits to discover who he is will die waiting. But the one who decides who he is and dares to enforce it upon the world becomes a force beyond nature. Identity is not truth, it is control. And when you learn to shape your identity as a weapon, you are no longer part of the crowd. You are the figure they follow or fear. Most people drag their identity behind them like a chain weighted by past failures, by others' opinions, by the smallness of their own imagination. They define themselves through limitation. I can't do this. I'm not like them. I wasn't made for more. These are not statements, they are cages. But the powerful write their identity in fire. They do not ask, who am I? They declare, this is what I am now. And they wear it so completely that others have no choice but to believe them. Your identity must become your armor. You must craft it with the precision of a general planning a war. It should intimidate, inspire, and confuse. No one should ever be sure what you're fully capable of. But they should be certain that crossing you is dangerous. The moment you show hesitation about who you are, you give permission for others to define you. The moment you act unsure, the world begins to chip away at your image. Your enemies won't attack your body, they'll attack your certainty. If they can crack who you think you are, they don't need to defeat you. You'll do it yourself. This is why your identity must be ruthless. It must be larger than the opinions of others. It must be built to withstand rejection, betrayal, failure, and praise. Praise is more dangerous than insult because it tempts you to become what others want you to be. You must not bend to admiration. You must remain what you have chosen to be, not what the crowd applauds. A man who controls his identity controls how others behave around him. People adapt to your image. If you act like a leader, they begin to wait for your orders. If you act untouchable, they hesitate before speaking. If you move with the presence of someone who cannot be denied, they begin adjusting themselves to avoid offending you. This is the raw power of a forged identity. It creates a gravitational pull around you. Others conform without realizing it. But forging your identity is not about imitation. It is not copying another man's strength. That breeds insecurity. You must look within, find the raw material, the rage, the ambition, the cold intelligence, and shape it into something sharp, something unforgettable. And once it is formed, you must never let it crack. When others question your choices, your silence must tell them they are unqualified to understand. When they insult you, your indifference must insult them more deeply. When they challenge you, your response must not be a reaction. It must be an execution of presence. Your habits must feed your identity. Your posture, your tone, your dress, your routines, everything must align with the character you have chosen to be. There is no space for contradiction. There is no time for vulnerability. Weakness is only safe in private, and even then, only briefly, because the more time you spend uncertain, the more your weapon dulls. A dull identity is useless, it's a costume. The true weapon is sharpened through repetition, through consistency so powerful that even when you're silent, the room still feels your presence. And do not mistake this for delusion. Delusion is believing you are something without proof. Power is becoming something through proof of action and enforcing it without apology. If you want to be feared, behave like one who is feared. If you want to be revered, become too disciplined, too refined, too cold to be denied. When your identity becomes so strong, it infects the minds of others. You no longer need to defend your position. You simply exist as fact, a fact that others must orbit around or be crushed by. A fact so real it no longer requires permission to exist. That is when identity becomes a weapon sharpened beyond recognition. The world bows not to truth, but to conviction. It does not reward the most talented, the most moral, or even the most deserving. It kneels before the one who acts as if he was born to rule. Power is not something you stumble into. It is something you manufacture, polish, and wield like a blade. You do not wait to be named the best, you name yourself. You do not ask for respect, you take it, and dare the world to object. Perception becomes your armor, performance becomes your crown, presence becomes your weapon. You do not compete. You do not explain. You become the illusion, the figure, the myth. You walk into every room like you own it. Speak as if your words shape reality, and think like no one is worthy of sitting at your table. Not because you were chosen, but because you chose yourself. Let them whisper, let them hate. Let them doubt you behind closed doors. None of it matters, because when the curtain rises and the stage is set, only one figure commands the spotlight, and it will be the one who had the courage to act as if he is the best, because no one else dared to believe it louder.